Going back to the silencer
Yeah.
as well, John, let me tell you as a Clockwork player, I love versing support silencers. Once you land that hook shot, they're dead. It's guaranteed. Unless they get a 4-staff, which, is normal, I suppose, but I don't know. Moving on, Felt they've got the Faces Void now.
Yeah, it's sort of a soft ban coming out as well. Like they see the Invoker, they're like, all right, if we give away this Faceless Void, we're gonna have Cataclysm, Invoker, Cataclysm Chrono combo, which is super strong. You can have EMP and the Chrono, sort of follow-ups there. You're not gonna be able to run away. It's a great way of preventing that strong
Oh,
combo.
there it
But
is.
Eboys bring out the Brood, and we've seen a lot of Brood. Maybe not in NA, or it's popped up a couple of times in NA, but I've watched a couple of games in the Oceanic region, in Southeast Asia. We've watched a couple in Southeast Asia with the Broodmother. It can do a lot for you. It's got some interesting laning mechanics now. It's a bit different in that initial build-up, but it's still really annoying. Felt for their part, they've got some ways of burning through the Spiderlings. Snapfire can sort of do that. Faces Void with Maelstrom can also kind of manage it. You've also got probably the best piece of control to hold the Brood down. You've got Chrono. As long as you land that spell, you can kind of keep the Brood held down in place, of course. So we'll just see if the Brood can pull ahead, but it feels like a pretty good Brood game. Like the natural wave clear is not there. You're not dealing with a Grimstroke down the line, so you're not having that the stroke coming out with a lot of damage on Brood. Snapfire is like okay, it's not amazing. Silencer doesn't do anything against the Brood, so it's looking pretty fantastic, and at least running down some of these other heroes.
Yeah, I mean, you could pick something pretty left field here up against the Brood, I suppose. Like, you could go for a Legion Commander or something, but I don't know where you'd lane any of this. It does seem like they are not going to be able to really find a really solid kind of Brood counter in this game now. I mean, they have a mid lane slot left here for the side of Feld. Unless they are planning Core Snapfire or Silencer, they are just lacking a mid lane. So I wonder what they do get to try and counter out this Brood Mother. We'll find out very soon. Eboys, they're going to have the first pick. What do they want? They've got 7 seconds of reserve time left to make this decision.
And it's looking like they're gonna lack a support here unless they're running support Invoker with a Clockwork and pick a different core.
I
Or
hope.
perhaps mid or safe. But yeah, it looks like we're waiting for a support pick. We'll see what slides here. It looked like Felt were expecting a core pick. They banned out the Ursa and Dusa. E-Boys just go with the line.
It's a good
So
pick.
yeah, it's really solid. You've got a way of locking in the Void as long as your Lion's outside. Chrono is never going to feel safe until the BKB is up for your Faces Void. You've got insane amounts of burst to play with your Brood Mother running through. You've got 2 natural Orchid carriers in the Invoker and Brood. More than likely, the Brood takes priority for Orchid now, so the Invoker can focus on a different build. And you can just kind of run around the map, play with your Sunstrike, play with your finger combos, run down the lanes with your Brood Mother when it's set to go. And Felt, they're going to have to find a way to deal with that. They don't have really defensive supports here. They do have Stampede to disengage at the very least, and they've got the Chrono to maybe catch out a couple of heroes. You'd ideally want to use that offensively, of course. And there's a lot of pressure in this Faces Void to kind of get that big Chrono. You've got the Kisses plus Chrono combo, but you need to lock in Lion plus a core. Like, ideally, I think you'd want Lion plus Invoker or Lion plus Broodmother inside just to be able to get some nice kills, prevent any sort of follow-ups and follow-up control and counterfight from E-Boys. But it's always so much pressure if your entire team fight relies on your pause 1 to kind of get that done for you. Centaurs can sort of do that, jump in with a blink and get a good hoof stomp off, but it just doesn't feel like the follow-up damage is very clean outside of Chrono combinations. So we'll have to see if Felt can kind of get some more going for them in terms of early burst damage with this last pick.
Yeah, they're going to need something to kind of just follow up with this Chrono here. And they've got 10 seconds left to try and make this decision. What do they want? It's going to be the Quad. Fair enough. It does do quite well into the Invoker. It is a way to kind of clear out the Spiderlings as well on the Brood Mother. So not a bad pick whatsoever here for Felt. I think overall both drafts are quite well rounded. The only problem I do have is probably that support silencer. And what is it? I can always see you smiling. What is it? You always make me very curious.
Speed Timbersaw. It's
Oh!
Giant in the Brood Speed Timbersaw.
See, there you go, John. Speed's mixing it up. Speed Timber. Something I was not expecting.
Oh,
I thought it was going to be the Speed Brood. I thought he was going to show something
yeah.
special, but there you go. We'll get to see his Timbersaw.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm wondering if he's actually going to go safe lane, if they run this Brood Mother and Disruptive off lane. I think you could still run the Timbersaw on the off lane up against the Void. It's alright. It's a melee hero against a Timbersaw, but you have to watch for those bashes. So there's a bit of a back and forth there. Timbersaw will only feel safe by level 3. Heck, maybe by level 4. That's when the trading can really begin for his speed. If that's the lane, if it's a safe lane, you do get that Centaur versus Timbersaw lane like you talked about, right? Like, Centaur on the off, Timbersaw on the safe. They will face each other. You're going to be that melee hero, melee strength hero against Timbersaw. It's not going to feel nice. There are the chain stuns out from Felt with a Centaur snap combo. So they can still play around with their level 1 to level 2, maybe level 3 spikes to burn down the Timber early on. After some point, though, the Timbersaw will take control of that lane.
That it will, and with that, we are going to head off to game number 1 in just a moment. But before we do, John, hard question for you. Who came out with the better draft? In your opinion?
Ooh, that's a bit tricky. I'd lean towards Eboys here. They've got the Brood factor up. They've got this wild card of a Spider on the off lane, and it can really overtake. Like, the Quap gives you some answers. As you mentioned, it can clear out the Spider links. It plays nicely into your face's Void. It's additional burst damage that I was looking for in their draft. So it kind of ties in most of the gaps in Felt's draft, and I just think that you've still got to worry about everything else. You've got to worry about your Timbersaw overtaking. You've got to worry about what exactly Speed and Giant have in mind in terms of itemization, and how much Red can pull out on this Invoker. There's not much natural combos with the Invoker here. You don't have the Faceless Void. You don't have even, say, a Tide Hunter for Ravage Cataclysm down the line. So it's harder to get that wide AoE control for the side of E-Boys. But if they play to their strengths, play this run-and-gun draft, reaching into the backlines, taking care of these softer supports or softer cores, I think you can catch Felt off by surprise. So I'm just going to lean towards E-Boys here, just because, well, they've got the Brood Mama, and it's always a bit of a wild factor. Like, the Brood with a rework is just very different. It still hits sort of the same timings, same item beats, but it's much more disruptive now to play against.
Yeah, it definitely is a better hero, I want to say. It's much more... It's less cheesy, but it's much more reliable, the Brood Mother. For now, anyway. Double A is going to move in. Does not manage to get the bounty. Might actually pay for this with his life, but no, they're not going to chase him down. Justice, he won't go for the level 1 cookie, of course. Would probably prefer to have that little shredder up. He'll go up to the top lane with Zorn. It looks like they were expecting Speed to come to the off lane with the Timber. But Speed has gone to the safe lane. Giant and Double A, they're going to be the ones up here. In fact, it looks like they've just read the... What is Kiana Scotty saying, John?
I don't know. Like, I'm looking at the chat now. He was all chatting with mainly Dougie for some reason. And he was just saying a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, Koya Niskatsi been going on from the lobby, so he's just feeling it. I don't know what he's feeling, but he's definitely feeling it. We'll have to see if he can pull it out here. You've got the Brood Mother versus the Snapfire plus Centaur lane. Zor and Justice on those two heroes. Of course, Giants on that Brood along with Double A on that clock. This should be decently manageable for both sides. You can maybe, again, play with your chain stunts on Justice and Zor, but for the most part, you can see Double A already being highly disruptive, going into the back, playing with a Battery Assault, preventing them to gap close that Brood. And if you can't get close to that Brood Mama, well, you're not going to stop her from farming, and for the most part, this is going to be a very stable farming lane for Giant.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to want those early levels up so he can feel a lot safer in the laning phase, and well, for now, it looks pretty good. Of course, over in the mid lane, we've got Yellow Flash up against Red. For now, Red appears to be somewhat in the lead, but it is a fairly even kind of trading lane right now in terms of CS. You'd imagine Yellow Flash will be the one to have the, in fact, hold that thought, because Justice, top lane, not going to die. He is saved by Zorn, the Hoof Stomp. Double A going to have to salve up. He's going to be all right. Barely getting himself out on the clockwork. I'll tell you what, John, there's been a couple of close first blood calls. There was one earlier on as well where Koyaanisqatsi, while he was typing, was dropping quite low in HP. He did end up salving up, and speaking of Koyaanisqatsi, they make the jump in right now. You see how fast his HP goes down on that silencer? Just not a very tanky kind of support to have. That'll be the second salve usage already for Kuyoniskatsi.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job in trying to zone here, though. You are getting some good last hits on Tay, and you're preventing the super aggression out from the Lion Timbersaw combination. Like, you get the stun off, you get the chain off. It's so much damage coming through. For the most part, Speed's not able to really leverage that. His lane's pretty shoved out as well, so Tay's very well protected here. And I think that's exactly what you want. Kuyoniskatsi was all chatting the entire time as well. He was giving question marks. He was laughing at what they were trying to do. I don't know. I still don't know what's up with Kuyoniskatsi today, but he is feeling the silencer, I suppose. Like, he's still having a good time. He's contesting the pulse, soaking some EXP at the very least, and just when it comes down to the Void plus Silencer lane, you do have some great synergy. You've got the Arcane Curse plus Time Dilation, so the cooldowns stay a bit longer. You can't spell spam. Arcane Curse just slowly ticks away at you. Never feels great for anyone in that lane, and it is going to be a nuisance for a Timbersaw.
Well, they're going on speed right now, but I'm not sure what the idea is. He had max reactive armor. He's not going to die. Tay's just trying to get some damage in, but Speed, I'm sure, feels very confident on the Timber right now, understanding they just don't have the damage output. Because now Albino Zebra is going to move in, and Tay's probably the one who needs to be a little bit more afraid. Kuyoniskatsi will come in now, gets the Arcane Curse off, but he's going to take more damage than he gives. They'll go on to Albino Zebra instead. He'll turn around for a Hex, but he'll give his own life away for that. Speed unable to trade. That'll mean Tay does get the first blood gold, and I didn't think he'd get a kill that easily, but he went back for the Hex, and it does cost him.
Yeah, and you have to watch how far you commit on the line there. There's still a lot of good damage coming through from Tay. If he gets a lucky bash, you're not going to have a great time. Speed doesn't even find a counter kill. He just doesn't have enough burst damage on hand. All of these cooldown affecting spells with the Time Dilation, with the Arcane Curse, are just a massive nuisance for a Timbersaw. Not to mention that you have to really watch your mana management. Like, yeah, you only have one active skill in Timber Chain, but it burns through really fast against the Silencer, so just a bit trickier to be aggressive on that Timbersaw. And felt, again, they're holding these lanes out quite nicely. Can take a look at the mid Quap here. Yellow Flash up against Red 2, and it is holding steady for Yellow Flash just a bit. Holding the lane quite nicely, being aggressive and looking for the Water Runes and the Bounty Runes as well, stealing that away from Red. The Invoker is still having a decent enough ramp up, not too far behind here. After this wave, should even out to 25 versus 28 in terms of CS. So you're not missing out too much, but Yellow Flash is more efficient. He can go into the jungle, clear out some camps, and build off from there.
Top lane, Giant able to get the first kill onto Zord this game. So this little kill there for the Broodmother. Looks like there was a battery sold out from AA to try and help, but well, the Brood just doing so much damage already. Yeah, pretty big cause of concern. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Tay gonna be alright. He'll time walk away from Speed. Like Albino Zebra was not able to close the gap to be able to get the stun off, and Speed's gonna lose his courier. Let's get his Soul Ring before it does go down, so not too much loss here for the Timber. Both sides though, just trading CS for now. Looks like a pretty kind of calm game. Still 1-1. Yellow Flash, he'll get a regen rune as well, so you can see some rotations potentially happening from this Queen of Pain very soon, but at least for now, Yellow Flash just seems more than happy to try and contest Red. It's very impressive, though, that Red has managed to stay ahead in terms of CS. Of course, Yellow Flash now going to take over, but you wouldn't quite expect that with an Invoker. You'd expect the Quap to be able to kind of overtake throughout this laning stage.
It's not as overwhelming as you'd want from Yellow Flash. I think most of that early CS lead was from the fact that he clears out the side camps a lot nicer. That is something the Quap can get done a bit better than the Invoker, especially when you go all in Scream of Pain. So you've got that AoE burst on hand. You're seeing Eboys just, again, leverage their lanes a bit nicer now. You're getting levels up on Giant. Pretty much a solo lane for him against the Centaur, and that's something he can manage really well. You just harass out with the Sulcan Bola, regen back with the Insatiable Hunger. Centaur could try to hold his own, get a hoof stomp double edge, but he did go for max retaliate, which means as long as you ignore him, you're kind of fine there.
Justice going to be in danger now. They get the Silken Bowl around. He's going to try and cookie out of there, but there's no way in hell. AA Does get himself a kill on the clockwork. Just a very tough lane no matter how you look at it for the side of Team Felt. That Silken Bowler just so much slow being applied once it does land. Pretty much guarantees you are going to die if it does connect. And I suppose the only thing you can do with this top lane is just make sure Zor is getting his XP and farm. He's going to try and move in now, but Giant's going to turn right back around. They'll get the battery assault off. They have the cogs up, so they might go for the dive. Double A, he does, but Giant will actually back off, and Double A's going to die for that. So maybe a bit of miscommunication there. It looks like Double A wanted to go, but Giant did not, and what ends up letting Zor have a free kill.
It's a bit of a mistake. Zor now, with his infused raindrops, has enough mana for a Stampede. So if you try to make that move again, even if Zor is a bit low, he's got the Vanguard to regen up. He's got the Stampede to get himself to safety. It's not going to be the easiest time. Felt are starting to find a little bit more farm on their hands. Less than 1k lead coming out their way. The bot lane is getting a bit difficult for Tay. It's at that point where the line just leaves you. Solo as a Timbersaw, you've got a 2-level lead over the Faceless Void here for speed, and it's just starting to bully out Tay a bit. Every single time time dilation's up, it kind of stops, but it's just not safe for the Void to sit there solo and farm up.
Oh, top lane Zor, he does end up popping that Stampede, but they have the cold snap out from red, and that'll mean Zor's definitely gone. Eventually, Double A will be able to get it with the battery assault, but looks like they all kind of forgot about it there for a second. None of them wanted the kill. They just wanted to kind of give it over to each other. Now Eboys, of course, with the Broodmother, can go for a very easy tier 1 tower push. No real stress, no defense from Team Felt either. They'll just let it go down, and that's going to allow Giant to just take over the Dire jungle now. And the Team Felt, you're kind of looking at this team wondering when they start making moves. We haven't really seen Yellow Flash move out of the mid lane whatsoever on the Quap yet. He is going to go ahead and rush the Orchid, but Felt they might have to suffer just a little bit until that Orchid is up. In fact, top lane Zor, he came back. The Cold Snap is there once again from red. EMP does burn the mana along with the cogs, and that should be another Centaur kill. They will commit the Chrono though. It is a nice setup there from Tay into a big Sonic Wave. They'll find 2 already onto Giant now. They might find a 3rd, and they will. Great rotations out from Feld and a great Chrono out from Tay. And there you go. I was asking the question, John, when they were going to rotate, but they make it happen.
Yep, it's just that combo. As long as you've got Chrono and the Sonic Wave up, you've got a lot of damage to can fly through. You just get the Kisses up and Justice, so you didn't even have that full complement in your team fight. Now you've got the triple threat coming through from Felt. The side of Eboys, they have to respect that. Looked like they, didn't expect the early rotation, although
Tay, he's out of mana now. Flash is going to move in to try and help out. Red, not going to stick around to try and finish off the kill. Very close call there, though, for Tay. You saw how fast he just kind of dies if they do drain the mana. Luckily, his team was around to make sure they could help him out. The map is still not safe, though, for Team Feld, even after that last team fight. Like, it was definitely a nice little boost for the team. If you look at bot lane, Speed found the tier 1 tower by himself. And now you can just confidently start slowly looking towards that mid tier 1 tower if you so wish. In fact, Giant, Queen of Scotsy, just being chased down. There is no way out for him either. Hookshot, top lane, they also found the Centaur. So he's trapped up. EMP is going to be there to burn all the mana. And of course, Giant will be around with the Spartling to try and just secure the kill. Double A will be the one to take it. Nice rotations again from the side of Eboys, and it's one of the things with the Brood as well. With these spiderwebs, you can just control the whole jungle. And for Felt, there's not really a way for them to make their way back into the jungle unless they go as a team. So, Giant is always going to be around, just kind of farming these camps and not allowing them the space. The Speed now ends up killing off Justice. Flash is going to rotate along with Kiona Scutzy. And there's Tay as well. They should be able to get the Timber. They do. Speed does go down. He has found a hell of a lot while he was alive.
Yeah, I don't think you mind that at all for Eboys. They make use of that space by shoving in that mid-tier 1. So they bought out a lot of time to get that nice shove in. That's all tier 1's falling for Felt. They're still trying to make a move on that bot lane themselves. But this is one of the weaknesses of that draft. Every single time Chrono's down, your team fight just doesn't feel as nice.
Oh, Zor again? You can't come up here anymore, sir. I feel really bad for Zor here because he is a Centaur and he wants to play the top lane. He does not really want to be around his team right now, but he just can't be there. Speed, bottom lane, he's going to be chased down, but he's just so much tankier. He's already got the Hood of Defiance up, and there's not really much in the way of bursting him down anymore. Unless you get him a bit lower earlier on. Flash, he might be able to go now at speed. He's gone very aggressive in terms of positioning. They do have the Sonic Wave as well. Flash is going to try with the kisses out. They do have enough. Now the Global Silence to make sure they can't reinitiate. Speed maybe getting a little bit greedy with his positioning, assuming the side of Felt would have backed off, but they did kind of just pump fake and make their way back in. They do get a very nice kill in the Timber.
Yeah, it's a really great defensive use of that Global Silence as well, but knowing that the Sonic Wave and GS is down, Eboys can easily look to re-engage now. They've got the finger up, Albino Zebra's itching for a kill here.
Justice, not quite the kill they would have wanted, but they might just have to accept it. Well, they were actually looking for Tay on the Void, and they are going to try and avoid him, but the smoke is broken and Tay's seen it. Hook shot, still going to be on the mark though. Double A, Cox pushback, pretty perfect. Earth Spike out, the finger. Everything just landing really just perfectly from Eboys, and they'll lose Albino Zebra, but it's well worth it for the kill onto Tay. Side of Team Felt, all they get for their trouble is a position 5 line.
Yeah, you're very happy about that for Eboys, and not only are you finding these kills, but Giant gets the freest lane up top. He's just keeping that tower constantly shoved in. They've stopped trying to run into Giant now. Zor is going to make his way back in the jungle, knowing that the rest of Eboys have sort of left the area. But you're not stopping the Brood. Giant's #1 in that word, 6.7k. Yellow Flash isn't lagging too far behind. The difference with Tay is the big one. He's got the Mask of Madness up here in the Faceless Void. He's got the Chrono ready. You need to use that spell along with Sonic Wave or the Kisses. Find some kills for yourself and start building up that way. They do manage to find a tier 1 bot, which is the first tower for Felt to take out. So it gives them some more room in that bot jungle to farm up, some more additional space to look for that farm, whereas, you know, the top lane's just kind of dead, so they can kind of shift out Tay to farm that safer spot if you want. Still a long way from getting really scary on that Void, and Eboys, well, they start to really just re-invade. They are set to just maybe look for a tier 2, but the side of Felt are smoked up here.
They are trying to bait with Zor. Nobody taking the bait quite yet, but Double A, he's going to break the smoke of Flash. Justice now going to have his own smoke broken. They are backing off though. Giant going to now join his team. They could be pincered here, Eboys, but no, they're going to move in. Onto Justice. They want to snap by it first, but there's your Global Silence out. That's going to make it a lot harder to keep going after that. Double A, he does drop Tay. We'll go in with the Chrono now and the Kisses out. They found the big one. They found the Broodmother. Speed, he's going to keep trying to fight. Albino Zebra might just die to Flash and does. And it looks like Speed has finally been caught out. Another time. An Ultra kill now out for Flash. On the Queen of Pain. And, well, Eboys, it looked like a decent start, but maybe just a bit overly confident there. Into the Global Silence, they do end up getting punished, and now Koyota Scutsy having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, he's feeling great about his silencer, and his Global Silences have been on point defensively and offensively. It's a tool that Eboys just cannot make plays into. They're going to need something defensive on their side to kind of break that off, so we're looking for BKBs, maybe Lotus Orbs to this spell, and in fact, there is a Lotus Orb being built up by Speed, so once he has that, he can at least enable one of his cores, or at least enable himself to still play around while the GS is up. But you have to respect Felt every single time those cooldowns are off. Their team fight is a lot stronger. Eboys, though, knowing that those spells have been used up, they can go for a smoke play and find some pickup.
Oh, Zor. It's always Zor. He's going to be alright this time around. They don't spot him in time, but Double A, he had the hook shot. He thought about it for a second. Still thinking about it, in fact. They're going to spot him out, but you need more than just the Clockwork Lion to kill off the Centaur. So Eboys Back up to the top tier 2 tower. We'll get started on that. Team Felt, they'll go into the mid tier 1. It should be a bit of a trade going on here, but you'd still have to argue it's much more worthwhile for Eboys. It's now red. He's going to show up and just try to defend by himself. You know, EMP already out, and Tay, he will not stick around. I suppose with mana that low, you just don't really want to risk getting into a team fight, and with the top tier 2 tower down as well, you know they're around to defend. So Eboys, they'll take a very early outpost. They'll continue controlling the map, and well, they do have the net worth advantage. We'll just see if they can kind of drag this game out long enough where the Brood will eventually just drop off and your Void will be way stronger.
Yeah, you just want to slow the pace of the game down. They will have Chrono back up in a bit from Felt. They've got Global Silence and Sonic Wave, although...
Yeah, they got the hook shot off. Cogs, pushback is there, but can you lock him down? Not quite. Global Silence out. It's like Albino Zebra wasn't even close enough to get the Hex off anyway. At least you do kind of waste that Global Silence now if you're E-Boys. Felt, they're just going to have to kind of play very safely until that Silence is back up. Because if you're E-Boys though, you definitely want to start re-invading that dire jungle and try to find another pick-off if you can.
Yeah, you just want to use that finger. You want to use all your damage on hand right now. The side of Felt still have a Chrono, so it can be a bit dicey if you do clump up, and that's something Felt can look to abuse if they want to.
But they've also got the BKB up now on Tay. Jump in, Orchid out, Yellow Flash trying to go after the line, does already kill off Albino Zebra. That'll be enough. Decided E-Boys to just back off now, because they don't wish to play without their Lion. You do still have that Chrono, you do have that BKB charge on Tay. So Felt, I suppose now you just go back into the mid-tier 1 tower and try to force that.
Yeah, and they can easily still pressure with a man down, and they still hold the Chrono. They've got the Kisses instead of the Sonic Wave. That's on cooldown. Really nice Orchid usage out from our Quap. The defense is still coming through, but the tower's way too low to really save here.
Tornado gonna land on Tay. Still Flash is gonna go onto the Clockwork. They might find double A, and they do. Felt, do they want to keep going? You still have that Chrono. They're not really gonna target speed, of course. They want somebody else. Oh, that's happening. Top lane, Giant. He's looking at Zor, but he's not making the jump in. Just kind of wants to make his presence known around the Centaur. Just not confident enough to go for the kill by himself. In fact, Zor's the one now running up to Giant. Being rather aggressive with his positioning, but he might pay for it now. They get the Orchid out. The Spiderlings are here. And Zor, he may have overstayed his welcome. He does. They do at least get Albino Zebra for their trouble. That's about all they get, though. Unless Tay could get a nice Chrono. Giant is going to try and run for it. They did get the Orchid off. Justice is going to cut him off. Giant's still trying to run. They might just need to Chrono, but a nice cookie. He's going to lock him down long enough. That's a big one again, John. Giant, it's pretty much all the DPS that the side of E-Boys have.
Every single time they lose this Brood, it just stalls out this BKB timing. Like, he definitely needs to stand in front of these fights. Losing your Lion now is also getting really painful. Albino Zebra finally has a blink, but all those kills on the Silencer, on the Lion, has been giving int to the Silencer. So you've lost a hell lot of int on this Lion. You might run into mana issues down the line here, especially once you hit that level 2 Finger of Death timing. It'll take 420 mana to cast that. You're not going to have too much left for your Earth Spike and Hex, or you won't have enough for your Finger in all of those fights. So it's actually getting a bit awkward for E-Boys. They're lagging behind by 3k. Felt, even after losing that tier 2 tower early on, haven't really lost much space elsewhere. And now it's an issue of scaling. It's all about Giant going into the late game. Timbersaw late can still be nice, but it's not DPS. It's still just utility up front. You play with your Lotus Orb, you keep your team alive, you distract the enemy team. With the Ag Shard, you can burn some people down with a Flamethrower, maybe even help in the push. But we really need to see the payoff on this Broodmother, like, because you have to diverge for this BKB, that means you're not getting your Ags with a spin web upgrade. You're not getting more webs all across the map. Your area is still limited to this top lane. And Felt has shown us that they're not scared of playing that top lane at all. They can just find the kills. They're at that point where it's very hard to hold these heroes down. With the BKBs up, with the Orchid being used well, they've got all their spells off cooldown as well. So it's time to smoke up from Felt.
They will. Into that dire jungle they go. Spiderling's not going to scout anything quite yet. Giant needs to be very careful, but he is moving quite aggressively. Oh, they're going to find him. Zora, great blink in. Right on target. Hoof stomp and the kisses out are going to be more than enough. In fact, Chrono on the backside, they found Red as well. Tay just getting the Invoker by himself. Onto double A now, the Clockwork. Also going to drop. A 3-for-0 trade, and it looks like Felt they want to get started on this Roshan.
Really smooth moves coming out from Felt. Working across 2 fights, finding 2 big pickoffs on that Brood and Invoker, and now there's no option for Eboys to kind of go for the Rosh. Even if they had buyback in the Clockwork, because he used the hookshot way late, can't really just jump in there and steal. Albino Zebra has a blink. Maybe he can time himself right in the pit here.
Try. Oh, he tries.
Oh.
Pretty quick, but Aegis is the way of Yellow Flash, and that'll mean Albino Zebra. He's gonna die again. Very unfortunate stuff, but a nice attempt. I gotta tell you, John, Flash, he is subbed in for the side of Felt, but he is looking real good. 10-0-5 right now, the Queen of Pain. Just kind of feels like he's always been here.
Yeah, he's melding really in with the team quite nicely. He's held his mid lane really well. Didn't really have the biggest farm advantage early on, but as soon as he hit that Orchid timing, just been all over the place setting it for his team. I'm worrying about Albino Zebra a bit here, Mike. Look at that mana pool. It's down to 600 mana. Like, you're only going to have 200 mana extra once you get that level 2 Finger of Death. So if you start with Finger, you're only going to have 1 follow-up spell for control.
Like, Kiana Scutsy's got plus 30 in.
Oh, yeah. He's had a lot of kills in his way. He is a very smart man, and that kind of explains all the question marks, all the little laughs he had in all chat. I heard a BKB.
Yeah, it's Yellow Flash. Looks like a bit of a misclick here from Flash. His 9-second charge as well going down.
Ooh.
Global Silence now out. They found Tay.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah,
Taking the Void out.
just by himself in the mid lane.
And they blew the Global Silence, so it opens up the high ground in a big way for Eboys, and they're going to leverage that. Giant's already getting started here. You still have that good combo, though.
Move Stomp doesn't land. Kiana Scotsy. No Global Silence up, so Speed. He's just going to frontline, but it's a lot of damage being dealt now. Speed needs to be careful. He'll try to chain out, and does. Kisses also being committed. Flash. He's thinking about going forward, but he is out of mana. They do force the side of Felt to come back and defend the high ground. We'll buy a bit more time out for E-Boys now to try and catch up in terms of net worth.
Building in nicely. Giants now saving up for that Ag, so again, additional spin webs, additional move speed, always nice. You can control the map from pretty much 2 areas with a Broodmother, which is always helpful. You can maybe start looking at the mid, or just start to web up that triangle where Felt has been allowed to basically free farm for the most of this game. The side of Felt, though, even after that loss, they've still got a 5k lead over the side of E-Boys, and the scaling for E-Boys still feels wonky. It's still all in the Brood. Speed already has the Lotus Orb up, so he's got some utility on hand with his Ag Shard as well. But it feels like the Timbersaw trending towards the late game is just not going to be able to close out this game. So their win conditions really all in on Brood. Maybe on the Invoker as well with the Ags. That could be helpful, but you just don't have the setup, although.
Albino Zebra was silenced up, but looks like the line's going to be alright. Zor showing himself in the outpost. Giant immediately just trying to go after that Centaur kill again. Just kind of baiting them in as Felt. They are sticking around together as 3 in the mid lane. Just trying to start a team fight perhaps. Just not finding the target they really want. You definitely wouldn't mind even fighting with Tay right now. Like, he still has the Chrono BKB up. Looks like Tay is pretty dead set on just trying to secure that Eye of Skadi for himself before he gets any more involved. You have seen it is very possible to kill him on this Void, with or without BKBs. They'll get the tier 2 bottom tower now, but Eboys, they're going to start looking towards that mid tier 2.
Yeah, it's really difficult for them to fully commit. It just feels like they always have to watch out for the Chrono, always have to watch for that global silence. Having the BKB on your Brute is nice, but the fact that it holds up your supports and getting their stunts off, getting off the Hex, the Earth Spike, even a Finger hasn't been flying out too often from Albino Zebra, it makes it super awkward for Eboys to just fully commit for that push onto mid. It's a very defensible spot there for Felt. So they're just kind of forced back, and as this game drags on, they are not winning the farm war. If Tay's just building up, Yellow Flash is just building up, and it's only Giant that can really keep up in this farm game. Like, Speed is lagging behind, Red is definitely lagging behind on the Invoker. He does have the Ags up, so he does have that Cataclysm ready. Issue is their best stun for that's really their Lion.
Oh, they found double A. That'll be your Clockwork gone. Another kill out for Yellow Flash now. 11-0-5 on this Queen of Pain. He does lose the Aegis though. It does end up expiring, but you're still going to be okay with the way this game's gone if you are Team Felt. For now, Eboys, the only play they seem to have is pushing out this top lane and try to force the defense out from Team Felt. Well, they are in position to go after the bot tier 3 if they want. They are going to go after that mid tier 2 tower instead. Trying to set up for the high ground. Speed's going to show up on that Timber. Leans forward, going to try and harass out Tay. Does have to be very careful. He's not quite as tanky as he used to be. Felt do have that Chrono up. They can go whenever. The Kisses up as well. Of course, you still want to catch that line out of the Chrono. Okay. Not going to have his mana drained. Nice time walk. He's really just taken no damage throughout all this time.
Boom, there he goes.
Just waiting for that right moment to throw the Chrono out.
Yeah, and you're trying to split push in that Brood up top, but Giant can't really make progress in the tier 3. So you are stalled out in the 4v4.
They jump. Double A is going to be targeted. Global Silence out. Sonic Wave only connecting on one. The Chrono only catching up the Lion. So Double A, he's going to be able to back out. And now if you're the side of Eboys, you wouldn't mind taking a team fight, and they will. Speed, he'll rush forward. Onto Kiona Scutty. Great hook shot out. Cataclysm to follow, but it doesn't do too much damage. But it won't matter. They kill off Yellow Flash. A lot of gold going to the way of Eboys. They found another. Onto Justice, and that was two killing sprees essentially being given away. It was a godlike spree on the Quap, Yellow Flash. We even picked that up. It's Albino Zebra of all people got on the line.
Yeah, he's getting a bit of revenge on the line. Really big mistakes there from Felt. They did not manage to use their teamfight spells in the way they'd want to. Giant, for his part, in that solo time, was trying to play a tag with a Centaur, but with the Crimson Guard up, your Spiderlings aren't doing damage at all. They still managed to clear out the mid lane, though. So tier 2's gone, one outer tower left for Felt. They are still leading by 6k, but with all their big teamfight spells down, gonna open up the high ground in a big way for Eboys, and they're gonna kind of start it slowly. The Flamethrower does give you some nice tower DPS on the Tim, but they can't really fully commit, as it still doesn't feel like the safest bet for them. They still have to worry about hoof stompless kisses in the backline from Justice and from Zor. And for now, they will just pull back. Maybe they'll look for punishment onto Tay. He is all alone bot, but he's TPing home.
Oh, he's going to make it though, Red. He gets the cold snap in time. Tay, he's going to be trapped in the spot lane now. He's going to try and run. Yellow Flash will TP down and try and help out, but a nice hook shot in from Double A. Chaos Meteor. Not going to really do much. The BKB was there, and in fact, they'll turn. Albino now, he's going to try and make a run for it, but it is looking a bit too late. He'll drop as well. Speed is still around trying to help out, but they even found Double A on the Clockwork now. They'll get another. And now Speed, Global Silence out, Lotus Orb already committed, so he can't really purge it off. He will keep trying to chain away. They can just keep blinking forward. Another Sonic Wave out. They'll get a 4th kill. The only person to live is Giant, and well, Giant's actually trying to run right now because there is fire following him. He's going to be alright. But Felt, they're onto the high ground.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really smooth high ground for Vault. Even when the respawns start coming in, they've got Chrono to play with in a bit. They've got, well, just a Chrono for now, but that's going to be enough to zone people out. At least you could Chrono them with a Rax and just go for the objectives instead, and it makes it super awkward for Eboys. They lose their tier 3, Rax next.
Oh, Chrono out, they found Red as well. Hookshot is going to be there onto the Queen of Pain. Is it going to be enough though? They've already found Albino Zebra. Red is going to be able to Ghost Walk, and now they'll turn on to Tay, who is out of mana and is going to give his own life away. Onto Yellow Flash, he will finish off the bot Rax. And that'll be it. Maybe Tay didn't really need to die there in the Void, but I suppose he does buy enough time for the rest of his team to finish off that bot melee barracks. They are going to find themselves in a pretty prime position now. 11k net worth advantage. It's going to be very hard for Eboys to try and make a comeback with this kind of draft.
I think the one thing they have to play with right now is the fact that Roche is open, so there's a free Ag Shard with the Aegis Cheese. They could easily look for that next. They are drawing lines towards the mid though, so it looks like while the Chrono's down, while Global Silence is down for a few seconds, they can look for an opportunity on the high ground or for a pick-off. And if they find one key pivotal kill, they can make that work in their way. They've still got the finger up on Albino Zebra, so they've got that burst damage on hand just waiting to go here.
Mid lane, Red. Push forward, Albino, able to find a Hex. Yellow Flash, meanwhile, going back into his triangle. Gonna back out, show himself at the bot lane where Albino is chasing him down, but will decide to run the other way. In fact, they started a Roshan, Giant, trying to get it done himself. The rest of his team not in the Roshan pit. Instead, they will find out Red on the Invoker, but a very nice stun out there from Albino Zebra, stopping the kill. In fact, never mind Yellow Flash. He will still be able to kill him off with the Sonic Wave, but Red's going to buy back. Meanwhile, while that's happening, Speed is in pretty big danger. Tay's just going to keep the chase up. He's waiting for some bashes to fly out and finally get some. But Speed is still making his way out of there. Onto the low ground, they have no idea where he's gone. Zor will have a look and eventually find him. Onto another now, Double A. He's going to try and run, but go down to Tay. Giant. Well, he can't really fight by himself. The buybacks are flying out, but Giant looks to be in pretty big trouble. More buybacks coming out, but it's not going to matter. They will find the Spider. And suddenly it looks even worse for the side of Eboys.
It's just super awkward. You can't have your Invokers standing up front with your Timbersaw there. Rather unfortunate position coming out for Red. The Roche is still fairly low, so they go back in. They're going to get that free Ag Shard with Aegis Cheese. They're going to be a bit safer for Felt in going for that high ground. Tay's got the second life to play with. And it's just going to make it a lot more difficult for Eboys in terms of finding any more progress on the map. They could be threatened in their mid lane. You could look for a big team fight now on the side of Felt. They've got Chrono ready to go. Kisses in 15 seconds. So the combination's waiting and ready. And Eboys, well, just feels it feels like they depend on Felt to mess up here.
Sitting there meta training like that, he does get punished for it. They're onto the tier 3 tower now. Albino Zebra, no buyback. Can't really get back into this team fight to help out. Mid-Rax, slowly but surely going to be taken down here by Felt. And for more, Speed. Well, of course, Tay's got the shards up, so now he can just kind of backtrack. It's very annoying to deal with. He has just a free rewind button on the Void now. 2 racks is up to the side of Felt. Eboys, they are... I don't know how you come back from this, John. This is very tough with the Broodmother +1.
Yeah, They've lost way too much momentum with that Brood. They don't have a scaling core outside of the Brood Mother. This Ag's build up in red. I mean, the Cataclysm's nice, but you don't have the lockdown to combo with that. You don't have anything like a Chrono. You don't have anything like a Ravage or even a Black Hole to play with. All you have is Earth Spike and Cause.
Hello, Flash. He's just going to war by himself. He'll kill off 2 of them. Who is this guy? He's gone 17, 1 and 10 now. They call it. They've had enough. All right. There you go.
I can't fault them. Like they play amazingly well in Felt's End. Eboys go for this Broodmother strat with the Timbersaw flexed around to speed. And they didn't get much done with their mid-game draft. We weren't seeing fast fingers coming through from Albino Zebra. We saw Kaya and Iskatsi just all chatting for the entire first part of the game, just really laying it into them. And he really played fantastically well in that silencer. I'm wondering how much total int he had by then. 44 on a pause 5. That's just outstanding. And the side of Eboys, it feels like they need to go back to the drawing board. They go for this Brood. They go for this Timbersaw. They flex the Brood to Giant. They keep speed on Timbersaw, and they run this Invoker with no setup. It just didn't feel like the draft was anything that synergized with itself. Whereas for Felt, they had Chrono with Kisses. They had Stampede to bail. They had Global Silence to bail out or to set up for a team fight. They had all the follow-up that they needed. And they just had a much more cohesive draft to play with as 5. Whereas for E-Boys, it just felt a bit disjointed from those heroes.
Absolutely. It does look like we are going to be having our Game 2 beginning in about 15 minutes from now, so I'll reset the timer so it's accurate. 15 minutes. Apart from that, it is MLP Dota and johnxfire, and we'll be back in 15 minutes to see how Game number 2 does pan out. We'll see you then.